Welcome. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Shannon Whiteside, Alvieri's Program Director and homeschool mom to 3 middle and high school age children. Shannon, you wrote your doctoral dissertation on Charlotte Mason narration. Why is narration so foundational?
Narration is foundational to who we are as persons. It's not some new method that children need to learn. They naturally tell stories about their day and what they've observed. As Mason said, the method is as old as the mind of man. When we want to remember something, we replay the discussion or the lecture in our mind. It helps us process what we think and make sense of it and put it into long-term memory. Mason realized all these benefits of narration and brought it into the schoolroom. This is the main method of learning. It wasn't added to other activities such as recall questions or comprehension questions because those activities aren't needed anymore.
That can be a really big shift in mindset for those of us who grew up experiencing more traditional methods in school. Why are those methods not needed anymore?
When you think about it, the one who's asking the questions is really the one doing most of the thinking. In order to ask a question, you need to synthesize the information and pick out the main points. Why not leave that up to the students? In narration, they're internally asking the questions. Who are the main characters? What happened next? In narration, the student supplies both the question and the answer, and they're the one that are engaged and active and doing most of the talking.
I know a lot of our new Alvieri members are just getting started with Charlotte Mason methods. What tips do you have for those who are new to narrating?
For books that are written in a literary form, narration is telling back in chronological order. We don't want students to just blurt out random thoughts about the story. It's best to think it through from the beginning to the middle to the end. So some first steps is to just ask a young child about their day. What did you do first? And then what did you do? This will help them understand this concept. We also want students to be successful. Start with a little amount for them to narrate and see how they do. Another tip is to work at it together and model it yourself. After a reading, you can begin the narration and then have the student jump in when it's their part. One last tip I'd like to share is to make narration lively and use your personality. Think of it as storytelling and not just a comprehension exercise. Mason compares the narrations of children to the stories of great storytellers. It's not just about retelling a story as close to the original text. What makes narration personal and meaningful is that students put their own individuality into their narrations. If students know we want them to make the scene come alive, then that takes off the pressure of remembering everything and frees them to tell the story as a whole and include their own phrases and vocabulary.
Now, my own background is in the business world, where being able to tell your story well, whether that's the story of your product or of your company, which is really a form of narration, is considered an important leadership skill. So, what are some other benefits of narration that carry over into life?
They're also developing the habit of attention, which is such a crucial skill for all of life. Students are used to listening attentively, and that will stand out in a world where the average attention span is 8 seconds. Another benefit of narration is that students have built a habit that will help them process and retain information for the rest of their lives. I've heard of many Charlotte Mason graduates who've used narration to help them with college classes and cut their study time in half. This can translate to anything we hear or read. I know the frustration of reading a chapter and not remembering anything. The simple act of narration, either silently or telling someone else, would help us remember the information a lot better.
I agree. As my children have advanced in their narration skills, I've also developed my own and found that very valuable. I also want to mention that our Alvieri members have an opportunity to hear from you often on narration and much more in our office hours Zoom calls and other video talks. Thank you so much for providing those resources.
I really enjoy helping our members be successful in their Charlotte Mason journey. Thank you.